live.
Yeah. Everyone, um, welcome to today's or this week's stream. It's a little bit delayed. We've been traveling, so trying to find time for it has been a little bit challenging, but nonetheless, we have some exciting stuff for you this week. How you doing, Lewis?
Pretty good. Hey, what's up, Gaden? Oh, Daniel's in here too. That's awesome. Everyone's here.
Yeah, it's funny because now that we're like in a similar North American time zone, like we can do this later, and I'm curious to see like how the audience changes.
Yeah, we have AV, we have Gaden, we have Daniel.
So, what is the current time? Yeah, like right now in Europe, it's like almost midnight, so I wouldn't be able to do this, which is
Yeah.
pretty cool. But anyway, awesome to see like everyone in the chat. Um, this week we have a theme. So like, if you guys don't know, every week we have a theme of like how we want to think about how this week went, and we express it in the first few sentences of the change log. So if you look at the Discord, we have like a change log. And for this week, the theme, anyone want to guess? So like let's pause here. You can read the changelog, and I mean if no one guesses, it's okay. I'll just say it. But we have a theme. So read the changelog and let me know what the theme is.
All right. I'll take a minute.
In the meantime, what's that?
I'll read it to you. I'll read it.
Please. In the meantime, as like our words are going through the interwebs to your ears, maybe we can talk a little bit more about like what we're really excited about for this week. So I guess on my end, like I'm super excited about new stuff that we're implementing with relation to like testing. So right now we have beta testing where people can easily beta test. But one thing that we're building out is like, what if you can actually like end-to-end test your your extension and make sure your selectors are working. Like that's one of the big issues that we've heard. So I'm excited about that. I'm also super excited about Lewis's extension that he's building, where he's basically doing some fun stuff with a Chrome history that we'll talk more about later. So just a little sneak peek, little teaser. Won't talk more about that, but you gotta watch the stream maybe next week or the week after for that. But yeah, Lewis, any things in the chat?
Well, AV is saying it's about 1 a.m. for him, but I think nobody has guessed the theme yet.
Damn, I'm so disappointed, man. Well, let's just
Oh wait,
let's
hey,
just
you say someone else saying I believe tomorrow I will finally
spill the
publish
beans.
my. Nice. Yeah, excited for that. AV is gonna publishing his platform extension to his 1,000K of user.
Nice. Oh man, I'm
Excited
so
on that.
excited.
Yeah, make sure that all the permission
Awesome.
is configured
Awesome.
properly, so you don't
Congratulations.
get a. Yeah, definitely congratulations. But making sure permission is configured properly, so you don't get delisted, right? I think I've heard a lot of people getting delisted or something like that.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I think like Avi is like a very experienced Chrome extension developer, so I think like definitely probably dealt with that before. But yeah, something to keep in mind. One of the things that we want to do with the framework is like so you don't have to think about it anymore, but at the time being you have to. Um, but yeah, exciting thing. That's awesome. Um, all right, well, let's get started. So the theme this week is cooking. It's a chef. You see like my dear patrons, our galactic kitchen. It's like a space chef. It's you can imagine like in the year 2050, if AI doesn't kill us all, we'll probably be in space. We're going to be doing a lot of fun stuff, and there's probably going to be kitchens in space, right? I mean, we have astronaut food right now, but there aren't really chefs for that. Well, I guess they are, but they're terrestrial. Um, anyways, that's the theme of this week, and let's just get started. So, framework updates. Lewis, what do you got?
Yeah, a lot of fix, right? So that's the main theme for that last week is we focus on a lot of fixes on existing feature, existing API, because also part of the traveling part is you can't really sit down for too long. So good time for fixing stuff as you waiting in the terminal, and yeah, and just reading through bug report and play around with it. So what do we have for y'all uh, in this update? We have, man, I'm trying to find my tabs. Sorry. So 0.65.1, we have so previously the Plasma, we were parsing the wrong source path. The path, the source path was wrong. So when people were trying to use the source path kind of argument or the flag for source path for custom source path, for example, um, it wasn't working well when they were using a more advanced feature or something like that. I forgot the detail of this PR, so if you want to see more of it, just go to the changelog, look at the PR. You see all of it. You see the detail. Yeah. And by the way, Stefan, should I wait for you to ask question or should I just go through all of them?
Yeah, I think they're pretty straightforward. So I don't know. There's not really any question in my mind.
Okay. Yeah. So next one
I guess the biggest thing is just like update people. I guess on what we fixed, and if they need to change stuff, we can just update them. But there's nothing like, I don't know, there's nothing like revolutionary we're doing, right? There's nothing complicated.
By the way,
it's just fixes.
When you hear this, say yes.
Yes.
So there are like about, I think there's 10-second delay between what I say and when you say it. That's crazy. Oh man, we have some insane delay in here, and I'm not sure. Could be the problem with the streaming software we're using right now. Actually, yeah, which is crazy. This is, I noticed this in the past stream as well. We should really address it because I don't think we are talking real time. We have a 10-second delay. Hey, Gaten.
Nice.
Gaten saying some word of encouragement, man. Thanks, dude. Really appreciate it, man. Oh man.
All right. How about this, Louis? So, how about like the thing we can do is because we're having these issues with the stream. Sorry, folks. Like technical difficulties, you know how it is. So let's just run through very quickly like what the big fixes are, and kind of at a very high level, just quickly, and then we can talk about the two examples and just showcase them as well, and then we call it a stream, and next stream hopefully we'll have this fixed.
Sounds good. Hey, Sivan, how about you take it over and just share the screen and go through the list? Because if I don't have my screen share right now.
Okay, yeah, that sounds good. Let me close my 80 tabs. Give me 1 second.
Oh, okay. Oh, I can share my screen and I can take it over.
No, I just closed them. All good. Let me do it.
Okay.
All right, so I'm sharing. You wanna move over to that view?
Yep. We have screen share now. All right.
All right, cool. Sorry, dude. Let me change up the screen share a little bit. I was unfortunately sharing just the tab. All right. Can you see the screen again?
Yes. Okay.
All right. Let's run through this. So you just talked about this one, Louis. Let's just go through them all.
Yes,
so
sir.
if you wanna, and one of the things I also encourage you folks is like, if you're curious what we're doing, you can watch a stream. Obviously, we will kind of explain stuff. If you want to get a sneak peek before the stream, or maybe we didn't cover something, if you head over to here, so we're in the Plasma, head over to releases, you'll see all of the different things that we've changed. And on top of that, well, actually, for the most part, like in this case, you don't have it, but for the most part, you'll see the pull request that initiated this particular change. So looking through them, this one, for example, we can take a look at the code, and we saw that rather than using the .plasma directory, we're now using the source directory, and then we're not doing this weird like replace stuff, and instead we're just using parse. So Louis already talked about what this was, so I'll go on to the next one. So this one was a parcel runtime fix, and the big thing here was like we didn't actually like do error handling when we initiate the reload port and set interval. So we added that. And then also there's this really interesting idea by Lewis actually, which is if we have the main world, then we can use the external connection instead for the port rather than using the messaging one, which is really interesting. And that's something that we might explore in the future, like so that we can enable HMR in the main world as well. Cool. So that was that one. In terms of impact to you, I think this is a case where like you won't see too much impact. Like this was more done because it was I think it was erroring when we were trying to do this into the main world because it's not possible. So we just have a try catch, and in the main world we unfortunately don't have HMR. I don't know if you guys know that, but that's the case. And we have this error handling where it just returns if it's in the main world. That's you can think of this thing like that. Then we have prune key on empty object. Basically, if there's a key in the manifest that is empty, it will just delete the key rather than have the empty object there. So, like, yeah, it's pretty straightforward. That's something you can expect if you are relying on this. Like, I mean, you should message us and explain why. Like, for us, we kind of want to be opinionated, right? But also, we want to make sure that if there is a legitimate great use case, we don't want to hinder it. So if you have like a good use case of why that's necessary, let us know. But we just thought like it didn't make sense to have that. Then we have pass down all options UI stuff. So this one, like I'm not super familiar with, to be honest. Seems like Lowe's just merged it. No review. So I didn't get a chance to review it. Basically, what I'm trying to say. So Louis, unfortunately, we have that delay. But do you want to just talk briefly about this because I don't have context?
Yep. So this PR basically previously we passed out only the option UI stuff that we're familiar with, but apparently there are more to the option UI now that we might as well just pass them all down from the manifest. Previously we want to be more design over the option UI, but then as we work on the framework and as we work through all the problem with the templating of the option UI and all of the other kind of templating for like tag for like tab pages and CSEY and stuff like that, I felt like we don't have to worry too much about this option of like the argument for the option UI anymore. So we just pass everything down. Yeah, and we assuming that if you want to overriding
Cool.
option UI, you know what you're doing basically.
Yeah. So there you go. Next up, we have handle Firefox background service worker issue. So this one says if you are Firefox, then you want to delete the background service worker since Firefox doesn't support the background service worker. Before we didn't have this, and it was causing issues with like being able to like bundle to Firefox. So that's fixed now, which is awesome.
Yeah, just a note of that actually. That
Yeah.
PR is somewhat superseded by the next. Actually, there's a fix. There's not a fix. Sorry. Let's go. Let's continue. Sorry to interrupt.
All good. So next up we have. So let me just go over back to that releases that I was talking about. So this is the previous one was all that was in 0.65.1. So if you're on this version, you can expect these fixes. On top of that, we have 0.2, and that one has a use message hook simplified to the message receiver. So this one, what it does is it makes it so that this code is way too complicated for me to explain with it. Is there a good example of the new hook process?
Yep,
There is
it's in
right
the
here.
new example. Yeah.
So let's take a look at that. All right, so we do use message, string, and then in here you can send data. Can you explain this one?
Yeah. So that code. So this is the CSUI, right? This CSUI living on the current page that's listening to this message, right? When it receives some data, it it uses document query selector to grab the request body and then return the text content of that. So basically, the use message listen to an event. It listens to any kind of event that sent is being sent to this content script, basically.
Yeah, I see. That's really cool. So that way, like, whenever you get a new event, it'll re-render this data, right?
Not to re-render, it sends an event. It sends some data back to it. It's actually sending the
Right.
document.query selector, the text content of of whatever it is of the request body, right? So what happened here is that in the pops up, I have a pops up that has an input where I can specify the uh, the selector, and then I communicate that with the content script. I send that to the content script, and from the content script, because I have the context of the web page, I can query that element and get the text content and send it back to the pops up. And now in my pops up, I can now have the data.
Got it. Cool. Nice. So if you're using messaging, check this out because this is like the quote unquote new way of doing stuff.
By the
Um,
way, this is actually
you know,
contributed by partial of this was contributed by what is his name again? He has a username down there. Is another we have a contributor to the example. Yeah.
yeah, Udayan. Awesome. Hey, Udayan, thanks so much for the contribution. This is super cool. Like, and one thing that I want to highlight as well, just for everyone here, is like the messaging stuff is very much in like very early. You can call it alpha, you can call it beta, um, and a lot of the API will be changing as we iterate. So, like, yeah, basically either go with the flow and lean into it, and you're gonna have like you're gonna be basically iterating with us, or if you have like a lot of code and you want to have messaging in a lot of different places, maybe wait a little bit before we kind of like mature um, the messaging stuff.
Yeah.
This is
Okay, so
an example.
just to close up on this, right? The idea is that now you can send data from pops up to content script and receive back some data from the content script back to the pops up.
Right.
Or
Is
from an
there
op
is there any like limitation to pop up?
any limitation to the pops up.
Like,
Yeah,
can you use this also with a background service worker or like an options page?
yeah, you can use the other function. You can send data to content script. Yeah, you can use this function down there. The function send to content script.
Yeah.
Yeah, that you can use that in background service worker. You can use that in pops up. You can use that in option page. Yeah, only if so you can only use that only if there's an active content script or if the tab that you're trying to send to is active. So that's the only gotcha.
Cool. All right, so we have that change. It's a pretty big change, so um, note it down. It's not just a fix; it's actually different. It's like a feature. Um, and then you have this fix here, Lewis. Fall back to background script for Firefox.
Yep. Basically, for Firefox MV3, we now falling back to extension pages. Oh, sorry, no background script. background script.
Right. Nice. Cool. So that's it in terms of the framework. And then we have two shiny new examples. So the first one, they're both linked here in the changelog. The first one is with React Native. So let's take a look at what's going on here. So we have a pop-up and we have an import from React Native. Button text, text input view. We use all these things in JSX here, and yeah, it just works.
Yep, and the part where you have to worry about is precisely package.json configuration. You have to add React Native as an alias.
Cool. So now, if you want to kind of like, I don't know, port over your React Native stuff, here's an example. Awesome. Next, we have another example, which is a very familiar example to a lot of people. I think this is probably one of the most popular ones, because let's face it, setting up auth in general is a nightmare. Setting up auth in a browser extension, let's not even talk about it. So I think this example is very useful for people. And we actually updated it. So we added like a few things here. It's not clear to me exactly what we added here, though, Louis.
Go to the new tab. New tab has the most changes. So there are two hooks at the top. The two hooks at the top facilitating writing data, and this demonstrating how to write data. First, so the previous one is known. The second one is new. The second one actually write data to a collection under a user ID documentation.
Yeah, so one of the things I'm curious about is like, I mean, I haven't looked at this code in a while. Let's look at the blame. Yeah, so we've had this for a while, right? Like, it's been 28 days since we've had this one, but this one's new. And what makes this so exciting?
Well, this is really just an
Well,
example.
this is really just an example.
Okay.
Wow, really?
I
No, I'm
mean,
curious though, like,
I mean,
what in particular, like, so for this one, right, we have the Firestore doc, and it's like it's a hard coded, right? Like it's Starships/Enterprise, and I guess what I'm trying to ask is like, what why is this useful? Like, when would people find using something like this useful?
I think that most user,
I think that
most
most
developer.
user, most developer,
By the way, I can hear myself,
like
which
him
is
is
weird.
Oh yeah.
Which is weird.
Okay. More technical difficulties. Maybe I'll just like answer my own question. It was rhetorical, not rhetorical. I was like, I knew the answer already, but I wanted to have a conversation. Anyways, the big thing here is like for example in this case, right? Crew data, set crew data. Like I want to set the crew data for this particular user if it exists. So that's kind of the idea, right? It's not just I'm going to set the data for this one collection. It's like I have a lot of collections. How can I set data for the particular one that I'm interested in? That's why this is so powerful. And like this paradigm of like you check for the user ID if it exists.
By the way, your audio is gone. Oh man, some we have some really bad technical difficulty here. Yeah, can you hear me? Oh wow, yo! By the way, um, oh interesting.